What is up, everybody? It's Aaron Ray back again with another episode of Franchise Tagged Fantasy Football Podcast. As always, guys, we really appreciate y'all. We're still over 1,000 subscribers. It's great. Appreciate it. Please continue to hit the notification bell. Hit the like buttons in the videos. It really helps us get out there so we can get some more subs so we can eventually quit our day jobs and do this full time and bring you content every day of the week.
To add to that, Aaron,
Yes, right?
this week is the big boy week. This is when you win your ships. So whatever questions you guys have, whatever you guys may want us to cover or something you guys have burning questions, drop those in the comments. Let us know. We'll get to them as soon as humanly possible.
This is very true, and even though I'm out in our big main league, there is another league that I play you in the championship. So let's hope Jalen Hurts plays this week for all fantasy managers out there.
I hope he doesn't.
I hope he does.
I hope he doesn't because I need some help. I need some help.
Listen. There's 50% of the people that are with me and 50% of the people that are with you.
Well, you see, I have had to piece my team together from multiple injuries and pain. To get here, I feel pretty confident about myself and the abilities in which I have put forth. Damn it!
I'm proud of you.
Aaron, would you like to get to today's news notes? Then we'll jump into the waivers, and then we'll get the hell out of here.
Yeah, this is going to be a short episode, guys. We are going to tell you that right up front and foremost. This is going to be pretty short because, as Ray alluded to, this is a championship week. If you have a Week 18 championship, your league is wrong, and we're not going to cover you next week anyways because every playoff-bound team is not going to play their starters, or if they do, it's going to be for like a quarter. So you're basically best off playing kickers against kickers in that Week 18 fantasy championship. So this is the big money week. Basically for waivers, unless someone really got hurt, which there weren't really like any catastrophic injuries, you're basically playing who you've been playing to get up to this point in time. So it'll be pretty short.
And we're going to cover Week 18. We're going to do that.
I know, but it was just me berating people for being dumb.
You know, I do that all the time too, and then I find out, it's not their fault. It's somebody else's fault. It's some
stupid commissioner that they play in this league that it's one of their friends. They're like, let's have a Week 18 championship.
Oh, they play football that weekend. Well, why don't you play all the way to the playoffs? Let's just go all the way to the Super Bowl. Why not? What are you taking time off for?
Bless you. That's what DFS is for.
Let's get practice points in too. They play football for practice. Let's do that.
Bless you.
Crazy, right? All right. So covering the news today. This is as of Monday night at 9:00 here, Pacific Standard Time. How about those Chargers?
How about Derwin James getting ejected for a hit stick?
How about Justin Herbert, playoff bound for the first time in his career?
They'll get bounced in the first round. They don't look very good.
At times they don't, and at times they do, and it's really awkward. It's hard to tell. Keenan Allen. If you have him on your roster and you're going to the championship week, how do you even think about sitting him? He's so involved. Crazy.
You don't. And it's weird because you can't really sit Mike Williams either because he's big play.
I would go Keenan Allen over Mike Williams every day.
I would too, 100%. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Strictly volume, yeah.
Yeah.
Strictly volume. But I mean, Mike Williams, 4 for 4 for 76. I mean, that's not going to kill you. It's over the 8.5 point threshold.
Yeah. By the way, my starts of the week last week only missed on one, and Romeo Dobbs, once again, you burnt that bridge, you lit it on fire. No more. I refuse.
I missed on DeAndre Swift. I missed on Trevor Lawrence. I missed on.
You didn't miss Trevor Lawrence.
Kirkwood though.
You didn't miss Trevor Lawrence.
He was an average play.
He was a 19.5 point play. He was not average. It was a great play.
No, okay. I forget who my wide receiver was.
Yeah, any receiver from that game, it didn't matter. Anyways, back to what we were talking about. Broncos fired Nathaniel Hackett. Now, I've seen things like tagged to him going to the Packers again. I'm like, please, God, no.
Our good friend of the show, Eric, brought it up. 2020? LaFleur had command of the red zone offense, and we were like third in the league or something like that. And then 2021.
Yeah.
Hackett took over and they fell like 19th. So I was talking to my wife about it earlier. She's like, the Broncos fired their head coach finally. She was like, is it really his problem or is it Russ? This is a woman who, yes, she pays attention a little bit to football, but this was her first year playing fantasy, and she realized that it's probably more of a Russell Wilson problem than a Nathaniel Hackett problem. It's a mixture of both, yes, don't get me wrong, but majority more on Russ, because you can see his teammates during that game getting frustrated on the field at the decisions he was making.
Yeah, I got to think it's mostly Russ, but like at the same time, he is Nathaniel Hackett. He is being Nathaniel Hackett. Is not prone to scrutiny, and obviously because he got fired. No. I would imagine he'll probably get an offensive coordinator position somewhere else.
And I broke it down to her this way. I was like, well, even if it is, say 50-50, both of them, you're going to fire someone who's got $8 to $10 million guaranteed rather than $161 million guaranteed.
Yeah, that's the other part is that it's real easy to fire Nathaniel Hackett when you're looking at Russ's gargantuan market share of the.
But this basically means that Sean Payton can literally just name his price to the Walton family and be like, "Yeah, I'll do it for." Like, what did John Gruden get? Like 10 years, $100 million or something like that.
He got ESPN money. Yeah, he got that ESPN bag. So I think it's a foregone conclusion that Sean Payton and his staff, because you've already seen on the news that
we got Big Fangio and
he's forming a super coaching staff. Like, stop! Shut up! Shut the hell up!
So
shut up!
I got a baby in my arms and she's letting him rip.
Well, good for her. I'm a little gassy myself right now. Let me tell you.
We just ate, guys.
Same. Other news: Mike White. Mike White is back as the starter. Zach Wilson will now be relegated to the practice squad. That's not really.
No, you have Garrett Wilson on that league, don't you? Ouch.
He'll be going right back into the lineup.
That's good for you. Bad for me. That's rough. It's good for all Jets fans, honestly. Mike White,
the Jets.
That's what I'm saying. He just brings something totally different to the
competent quarterback play.
Yep. Thanks.
The ability to get the ball to their playmakers.
Not afraid to push it and have some zip on the ball.
Not willing to take sacks that he doesn't need to.
Not willing to try to scramble out and then throw into triple coverage a moon ball that's a jump ball at the end of it.
Maybe competent quarterback play encompassed everything we just said.
But I think that just did, yeah. So
yeah. Well,
I just wanted to highlight some specific things. Incompetent.
Yeah, Mike White's back, and hopefully he never goes back out again. I hope that he's the starter going forward. He's shown me enough to at least give him a shot. If the likes of Taylor Heineke and Davis Mills can get opportunities, I can't see why Mike White can't. But what do I know? I don't know shit. Greg Dortch and Cam Akers. I wanted to point these guys out real fast, just because it's something to talk about, right? Greg Dortch was heavily involved.
It's probably because McSorley was playing with him on scout team most of the year.
Well, I would assume that McSorley is probably going to be starting for the rest of the season. I would assume. Is Greg Dortch a name that we want to bring up a little bit later?
What happened to Colt McCoy?
I don't know. He sucks. There's that. Cam Akers as well. I want to bring it up as well. He's put up a couple good games now for fantasy. I know that you got to hold your nose to put him in, but if you're in running back purgatory right now, say if you were the Jonathan Taylor owner and you've just stumbled upon your way to the championship, I think Cam Akers can be started at this point. I think he can.
Yeah. With Baker's looking competent. Before we go too far into Cam Akers, Colt McCoy had a concussion. They hope he clears the protocol this week to start week 17. If he clears, Colt McCoy is starting week 17. So I'm pivoting off of Dortch in that case and playing D-Hop because Colt McCoy is at least smart enough to throw it to Hopkins.
Yeah.
But anyways, back to Cam Akers. I agree. Baker somehow has looked good and can actually push the ball down the field for passing. And Cam Akers is actually getting more than 2.4 a carry. So,
again, something to monitor, I guess. If you guys have those start-sits questions, please put those in the comments. We'll get to them right away. Sorry.
Just look at the last videos. Start-sit questions.
Yeah, it was like 19 questions deep. Christian Watson ruled out for during the Packers Dolphins game.
Mm-hmm.
Not good. Another hip injury, lower extremity injury. He's had a concussion. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But if he plays this week, I can't sit him. I can't.
I agree. Also from that game, Tua back again in the league concussion protocol.
Miami just stays fucking up. That's all there is to it. I don't understand.
I saw the play too where everyone thinks that it happens right at the end of the fourth quarter. I think it's Preston Smith got free on the edge and Tua got the ball off, but Preston Smith grabbed him by his legs and somehow he smacked the back of his head on the turf. And after that, he didn't look very good.
Yeah. I don't think I'm putting Tua back in for the playoffs if I didn't have to. But
nope.
Again,
it's your Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill with Teddy B is probably a step below what you think.
Yeah. So outside of that, there really isn't a ton of news. I want to bring up Jahan Dotson's name just because we were talking about it so much from the last couple episodes. I mean, the dude looks good. When he's playing, he looks good. A name to remember for next season. At least maybe like a late round flyer. I would highly doubt that he goes any higher than like the 7th round. And I can't see, what he's done so far. I know that he's touchdown dependent, but he's scoring touchdowns. So is Christian Watson. Are you afraid to put him in?
I don't know if you saw this or not, but you're talking about Jahan Dotson. The Commanders are making a quarterback change. They're probably going to start Carson Wentz.
He was good. He was good with Carson Wentz too. He was good.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Maybe not. I'm not saying this season, but I just want to keep a name in mind for next season.
Yeah,
already get those things ready to go because a lot of people are already out of the playoffs or they're playing for 3rd place. So just something to remember.
Yeah, that's fair. Like we said earlier, this is for all the people in the championship. You're playing who you played to get there. There weren't any significant season enders last week, so
no. And that is, in fact, the end of the news.
That is okay. Perfect. Awesome. End of the news. What are we gonna do now?
Well, we're gonna talk about some beef jerky real fast, and then we can get into waivers.
Hey, let's go. You're running this one. Let's hear a word from our sponsors.
Hey everyone. This show is brought to you by Driffles Jerky. Are you like us and love beef jerky, but hate paying those high prices for subpar meat? Well, at DrifflesJerky.com, they have the money meat.
You said the money meat?
That's right, the money meat. Great tasting beef jerky made from top quality cuts of beef at great prices. Use promo code franchise tag to get yourself 10% off on your order today.
That's DRIFFILLS jerky.com.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back from that beef jerky beauty, the real beaut. Aaron.
Yes.
Aaron, I'm going to need to get me some real soon.
Oh, I'm about to have to re-up on my order.
I'm pretty pissed.
You know what code I'm going to use?
I would hope franchise tag.
For sure.
I'm really pissed that we had our Christmas get together thing, and that wasn't part of
jerky. Because
we do these white elephant things. That should have been one of them. You should just throw a package together.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know. Let's get to these waivers, Aaron. All right, so yeah, I know. If you're in the playoffs and if you're still in it, you're still in it to win it. You're ready to go to a championship. I don't know how much of this is really going to be that relevant. Again, if you're wondering who you should pick up, what you're thinking about, who you're thinking about, put it in the comments. Let us know. We'll see if we can't help you out before Wednesday's waivers clear. But I think starting off kind of gross, but you know what? If you're in quarterback need, Brock Purdy could be started.
Mike White
would probably be my number 1 quarterback pickup.
Yep. Yeah, I would say him. Mike White's definitely the number 1 quarterback pickup.
Yeah, and he plays Seattle. I think that he could get out. He could get out of there with 20 points.
Yeah, I mean, you could look at Deshaun Watson. They play the Commanders.
I was just about to bring that up, but it scares me a little too much. I don't know if I would do it. Deshaun Watson would be a little risque for me. What about Baker?
Probably not Baker this week against the Chargers. I know it's still technically a home game for them. I would probably go, honestly, Sam Darnold against Tampa Bay before Baker.
I would probably go Baker before Sam.
That's my point, right?
Yeah, that's tough. Really, it's Mike White, and that's it. I don't. It's Mike White, and then it's Brock Purdy, and then that's it.
Yep, I would agree.
And Brock Purdy's probably like a just. Maybe even Brock Purdy might be above him because he's playing Vegas. Vegas sucks.
Vegas is pretty bad. They like to give away leads. No matter who their coach is, like they
like to piss away leads. Moving on, I don't think there's any other quarterbacks to mention, talk about, worry about. Again, if Trevor Lawrence is out there, he is always the start that I would keep bringing up. What am I, 9 weeks now talking about Trevor Lawrence? Is that where I'm at?
Something like
Pretty
that.
much. Pretty
they
much.
play the Texans this week, so yeah, we'll cover all that later this week. But
yeah. Running backs.
Chuba Hubbard is who I would look at, or Dante Foreman. Yes, they had 300 and something yards rushing on the ground, which is a lot, but they play Tampa Bay, and their defense isn't that great anymore. Their whole team is not very good anymore, so teams have been able to run on them.
That's it. There's nobody else that I'd be interested in.
You're not playing Rex Burkhead against Jacksonville?
No, absolutely not. No.
Yeah, I mean, what about Chase Edmonds? He looked okay. New coaching change, maybe they switched it up.
No, you're not starting him this week. No, you're not. You wouldn't do it.
Agreed.
No one would do it.
Agreed.
Moving on. Like I said, this is going to be real quick. Real quick. And obviously, your guys' leagues are going to be a little different than what we're seeing on our end. We're just looking at what's available in a competitive league and trying to give you an idea of what we're seeing on the waiver wire. But if there's somebody else you guys are thinking about, please throw that in the comments. Please. Drake London, got to be the number one receiver pickup that I could think of, but he's 79% owned.
Jesus. It's ridiculous, right? Like people you wouldn't think that would be owned. Like mine would be Jacoby Myers, but he's 78% rostered too. So
that's
it's like,
wild.
Those are the two I would say check and see if they're there.
Yeah.
They might fall in one of those leagues if they're not, but I mean, if they are, then take them. But if not, then yeah, I would say Drake London, Brandon Cooks on the borderline, the cusp.
I want to bring up a name, Aaron. Gross.
Am I going to probably throw up in my mouth?
A little bit, but probably the only guy on the waiver wire that I'm almost guaranteed. Robinson? It's not.
Dang.
It is Russell Gage. Russell Gage. 31% rostered. He plays Carolina this week. If you happen to be just ridiculously playing in week 18, he plays Atlanta in week 18.
I have a name, and I've said his name before, and I got shit for it.
Okay.
Is it Trenton Irwin?
Oh, that's
Trenton
tough.
Irwin for the Cincinnati Bengals.
That's tough.
All this dude does is score touchdowns.
Meaty touchdowns. That's right. That is right.
All he does is score touchdowns.
How about I have another name for you?
Basically, pretty much replace Tyler Boyd.
It's unfortunate. I want Tyler Boyd to go somewhere else so bad. Mecole Hardman. He's 59% owned. I would imagine that against Denver, it's not the best matchup, but Mecole Hardman has shown that when he's on the field, he's productive, he's used, he's ready to roll. I think that would be the number one pickup for me looking at our waiver wire right now. You say not
the best matchup, but I say this week, I think the Broncos defense is just done. I think they're just burnt out on the season.
Honestly,
they let a Baker Mayfield led Rams with who was their number one wide receiver, Van Jefferson.
It really was Tyler Higbee, but beat the dog shit out of it.
That's what I'm saying though. Like,
yeah.
I think their defense is just like you've just needed to score 20 points all year and we would be in the playoffs, but you can't.
Yeah, so. And the crazy thing is that, all they had to do is be a mediocre offense, and they would have been good. They'd have been good.
Yeah.
But they're not.
But I mean, they're not at all. Yeah, maybe. There's really,
That's the end of the list for me for waiver wire.
Championship week. If you're in your championship, you're playing who you played. If you're in one of the other games, ride it out, but you're there because of who you have anyways. You're probably not going to find anyone better on your team. Believe me, Zay Jones isn't gonna go off for 30 points again. He came back down to reality hard.
It is true. It is true.
I don't expect another 32 point or 30 plus point performance from TJ Hawkinson either.
Yeah, I wouldn't do all those things.
I lost back-to-back weeks. 1 week to Zay Jones, 1 week to TJ Hawkinson.
Moving to tight ends. Imagine
gross.
if you had played TJ Hawkinson this last week. Let me tell you.
That's what I'm saying. I lost to him. I don't have him.
He's 85% roster. He's not out there. But check to see if Pat Fryermuth is out there. Just check. He's not out there. I'm looking around the waiver wire right now to see who's like really low in roster percentage, and I'm not seeing a ton of names that they jump out to me like, oh, I need to grab that guy. Like
Pat Fryermuth, Cole Kmet, pretty much end of list. I know you don't like Cole Kmet, but pretty much just end of list.
If Greg Dulcich is going to play, which I don't see, what is his injury designation? No, he played this last week. He played against the Rams. Why does it say he's out? That's crazy. If Greg Dulcich is out there, 64% owned. He's playing against Kansas City. That's a pretty good matchup. I like Greg Dulcich this week. He's probably my number one ad.
Yeah. And wouldn't you know, the 1 week that Arizona shuts down the tight end, the week I call for the Tampa Bay tight end.
I'm going to throw another name out there, Aaron. You might want to throw up again. If you have no other tight ends you can find on the waiver wire, Noah Fant's out there, 41% owned.
I knew you were going to say that.
Noah Fant. This is the time. This is it. This is when he comes alive. This is it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Some setting taking this long.
That's pretty much it, dude. Tight ends is dead.
That's it.
I'm playing number one waiver wire pickup for defense this week will be the New York Giants against the Indianapolis Colts. Number two waiver wire pickup. Sorry, but she's getting a little upset. Number two waiver wire pickup for me would be the Atlanta Falcons against the Arizona Cardinals, especially if Trace McSorley has to play again.
I'm looking around real fast just to see if I can find another name here just to add to it. If you want to get froggy, if you want to get weird.
No, not really.
If you want to get weird. Green Bay's defense against
Minnesota. I mean, defenses have been teeing off on Minnesota. They're just offenses have been picking up the defenses. Offense have been teeing off against Minnesota. Their offense has been able to keep up with them.
Yeah, I like that one. And then the Chargers defense against the Rams. I want to see if their defense is good enough. They were a good start this last week. We talked about it on the show last week as well. I think that their defense has kind of stepped up a little more as of late.
Their defense is even better when Derwin James is on the field.
And not ejected, yeah.
And not ejected.
Definitely better. Definitely better. But now that they've kind of clinched, they might be resting too. So that could be something to monitor as well. The last team. Go ahead.
Sorry, on the Chargers side, they might rest some players on the defense just to make sure they don't get hurt. They're not resting anybody on the offense because they are trying to figure out how to get their offense like in full swing. Because like you said, it reminds me of like last year's Packers in the beginning.
Yes,
they scored a whole bunch of points and then they were quiet for 2.5 quarters, and then at the end they came back and won it. Like,
part of me does believe that what we saw tonight was more that Indianapolis' defense isn't that bad.
Yeah, I would agree with that too.
But you're right. Like, they just kind of disappear for a little while, and like, just they're non-existent. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact the box score you're seeing is their inefficiency in the red zone right now.
Yeah,
a big problem.
Yeah.
Big problem.
Huge
and
problem.
if you wanted to know how they're going to get kicked out of the playoffs, that's exactly how they get kicked out of the playoffs.
Yep. When you get down there, the field's not very deep, so there's only a
Field
few
goals
things you can do.
Field goals ain't winning any games, and you need touchdowns. Washington's defense against Cleveland is the last defense I'd like to talk about. Outside of that, and even then, I would the names you mentioned before better names than this. I'm just
Giants for sure number one, Falcons number two, and then I would look at Washington before I looked at Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And then those would be my top three, realistically. Yeah. You could even potentially stream Carolina against Tampa Bay as well. That would be number 4 for me.
Okay.
A little deeper, but as we've seen yesterday, especially against a porous Arizona defense, 31 out of 32 teams, defensive rank. Tampa Bay barely. They had to get lucky to get it done.
Okay.
So.
Anything else, Aaron? You got anything else for the greater good?
The greater good, guys. Please go to drifflesjerky.com and use code franchise tag for 10% off of your order. It helps them, helps us, helps us support, helps you guys help us by supporting, using that for the show. Go to Discord or leave YouTube comments. Either way, Ray will get back to you. As you know, he got upset that it took him 10 minutes to reply to someone because it didn't come through fast enough. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, we are there as well. Go give us a follow and subscribe over there. Most importantly, though, please hit the thumbs up button in the videos. It really helps us in the YouTube algorithm. Hit the notification bell so you know anytime that content goes live, and smash that subscribe button because that helps us grow the most. But until next time, Ray, we will see you later.